French President Emmanuel Macron announced plans to send reassurance forces from European countries to Ukraine in the event of a peace treaty with Russia. These forces would act as a deterrent against Russian aggression and help guarantee long-term security. His comments came as the coalition of the willing gathered in Paris to discuss strengthening Ukraine's hand as it pushes for a ceasefire with Russia.
Le Premier ministre britannique et moi-même donnions mandat à nos chefs d'état-major des armées pour qu'une équipe franco-britannique puisse être déléguée dans les prochains jours en Ukraine et puisse travailler de manière très étroite avec nos partenaires ukrainiens qui ont acté également ce mécanisme pour préparer justement dans tous les domaines le format, ce que sera le format de l'armée ukrainienne de demain.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky praised the coalition of the willing for their support and efforts to secure a ceasefire.
No lifting any kind of sanctions until Russia will stop this war. And I think more pressure on it, more packages of sanctions. This is important.
The meeting came amid intensifying efforts to broker a ceasefire, driven by pressure from US President Donald Trump to end the fighting.
At least 12 people were injured, including a 12-year-old girl in a Russian airstrike late on Wednesday on the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, according to local officials. The attacks targeted civilian infrastructure and sparked at least 4 separate fires, causing damage to a number of buildings and a production facility, according to the Ukrainian State Emergency Service. Russian drone strikes also targeted the city of Ochtyrka in the Sumy region overnight, sparking a fire and causing damage to a number of buildings. No casualties were reported. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry said 1 Ukrainian drone was shot down over the Bryansk region on Wednesday, causing a power shortage. On Tuesday, both sides said a limited agreement to stop fighting in the Black Sea had been reached.
Search efforts continued on Thursday for 4 missing U.S. soldiers in Lithuania after their vehicle was found submerged in water a day earlier. The soldiers went missing on Tuesday near the border with Belarus during a training exercise. Lithuania's defense minister said the vehicle was found 5 meters down, after which enough water was drained out to dig for it.
Amerikiečiai informavo, kad vis tiek visą naktį taip pat tęsė paieškas ir aplinkinėje vietovėje, nes bet kokie scenarijai vis tiek dar laikomi galimais, kol mes nematome transporto priemonės, kuri yra tikrai ne 1 metrą smigusi, tai mes negalime patvirtinti, ar transporto priemonėje yra kariai.
Both Lithuanian and U.S. troops joined the effort, which Lithuanian officials described as a highly complex operation.
As our Secretary of Defense has said, we will not rest until our troops are found. You can see that it is technically a very difficult recovery situation. I want to thank the Lithuanian government, the authorities, and all that are out here helping in the recovery.
The Lithuanian defense minister expressed hope operations would proceed smoothly and said there were positive signs in the ongoing rescue efforts.
Having ended a 2-month ceasefire, Israel is now reportedly planning a bigger ground operation in Gaza, which could involve sending tens of thousands of troops to clear and then occupy large portions of the enclave. Almost a year and a half since Hamas' brutal attack of the 7th of October, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu seems to be more determined and more empowered than ever to achieve the stated goals of dismantling of Hamas' governing and military capabilities and removing any future threat from Gaza. But the questions are increasingly being asked, including from the people of Israel, whether this would help bring back Israeli hostages, or it could put their lives into even a bigger danger, while at the same time chasing more devastation and death in Gaza.
Israel believes 24 hostages are still alive and being held in Gaza. Ron Segev, a survivor of the Nova Music Festival attack, says releasing them remains the main goal of the people, and it has not changed.
I know that it's been one and a half years since that day, and some people go back to their normal life. But I can tell you that us, the survivors, we will not move on until everyone will get back. I don't know about the goals of the government, but for the people, that's the main goal, the only goal.
Thomas Hand, whose 10-year-old daughter was released after 50 days in Hamas captivity, says he does not believe diplomacy can help release the hostages.
The only reason we got the first phase was through military action, where they felt that they were going to be wiped out.
I have asked him whether the recent protests in Gaza against Hamas mean there is hope for a change from within.
There is a hope because they're actually risking their lives to do it. They're civilians, let's say, going against an armed terrorist organisation. They will be crushed. They don't have a chance, no. Maybe in the future, if the UN, Egyptian army, Israeli army go in as an international army, they could back them up and maybe we can get rid of Hamas that way.
Serbian state authorities have until the 31st of March to respond to the European Court of Human Rights for the alleged use of sonic weapons against protesters 2 weeks ago. However, President Vučić reassured the EU on Tuesday night that the allegations were not true.
Nikakvog zvučnog topa nije bilo, da smo spremni da to provere na svaki način, da ćemo pružiti odgovor i Evropskom sudu za ljudska prava, bez obzira što to nigde u Evropi nije zabranjeno.
Anti-government mass protests have been going on in Serbia for months, mainly against corruption and local oligarchs. Top EU officials are embarrassed since Vučić has been one of their main interlocutors in the Western Balkans for almost 10 years. But for this MEP, there doesn't seem to be any other alternatives.
For the moment, I see the logic to speak with Vučić because there are no strong alternatives, clearly defined, clearly visible alternatives in Serbia politics, and that's a problem. But the reason why that is the case is that definitely European Union has neglected the situation in Southeast Europe, especially in the last 10 to 15 years. That enlargement policy was definitely completely marginal topic until the war in Ukraine started.
However, the European Union plays the card of appeasement again in the Western Balkans with Serbia, especially in order to avoid any additional problem in a region that could become again a source of tensions for the entire Europe. Sergio Cantone, Euronews, Brussels.
Wildfires raging across South Korea's southeastern regions have become the worst ever recorded, leaving at least 27 people dead. The government has mobilized thousands of emergency responders and dozens of helicopters to tackle the blazes, but officials say strong winds are hampering their efforts. So far, at least 37,000 people were forced to evacuate, and over 300 structures have been destroyed, including ancient Buddhist temples. Rain was expected later on Thursday, but the chief of the Korea Forest Service said the amount likely won't help much. Authorities said the victims were mostly in their 60s or older, who found it difficult to escape quickly or even refused to evacuate. Scientists say the warming atmosphere around the world is driving ever more extreme weather events, including wildfires, that are killing people and causing billions of dollars in damage every year. An ongoing eruption of Hawaii's most active volcano restarted again on Tuesday when lava began pouring out of a vent in the caldera. Kilauea has been erupting on and off since the end of December, shooting tall fountains of lava into the air and spilling molten rock across the caldera floor each time it's come back to life. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park said the latest eruption wasn't affecting any residential areas. The current episode is the 15th of the ongoing eruption, which has been a popular attraction for tourists.
Pretty much all the lions were on the front line, and obviously their original owners evacuated, and they were left there, and they were discovered, some by people and some by the army. And obviously the team that we're working with, I4 and Wild Animal Rescue, to get these lions out, they were taken to a temporary facility which was a converted horse stables just outside of Kyiv. Now the problem with that area is that that was the direct flight path for drones from Russia to Kyiv. So it was about getting the lions out as quickly as possible and as safe as possible as well. My favourite animal in the whole world is Una the lioness. Now, she was a lioness that we rescued from Ukraine, and she means the absolute world to me. Obviously, when she was originally rescued, she could barely walk. She was suffering from shell shock and concussion. She was so severely bad that they were actually going to euthanize her, but we managed to step in and get her out of the war zone, and she's just come on leaps and bounds since being here at the sanctuary, and we're just so happy with her progress.